Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. As usual, you know I am always busy, but I have said, all right, I'm going to try to stick it out this time and stay consistent with my videos because I know a lot of people have privately messaged me and they want to know how I am teaching my kids all of these things. How did my kids get perfect math scores? How are my kids grade levels above in reading? And how am I teaching them Spanish when I'm not a native Spanish speaker? Okay, so I'm doing all of these things, and I have my own enterprises, as you know, writing books and so forth and so on. So I'm running a full-fledged family here, but I wanted to share with you all, and I am going to provide resources so that if you want, you can do the same thing that I'm doing, and you can use some of the resources that I use. So you're not hunting around or trying to figure out a new formula or essentially reinvent the wheel, because what I'm doing is clearly working. I'm very proud of my kids. I gave them a standard test, not a standardized test, but like a formal test. I paid $20 a pop for it, and they did. They got perfect scores on their math sections and their 2 grade levels above in reading in English on the reading section. So a little bit more work is needed with the mechanics of the language and creating English language because, as you know, my children grew up in Japan primarily. Even though they're still young, their first years were in Japan, and so that is their main or primary language, and I've worked really hard trying to make sure that they are fluent in English. They are, but without the cultural background and without growing up in a native English speaker environment, there are some things, especially that my 10-year-old will deviate from. But today I want to talk to you about what I'm doing for summer school. I know a lot of people are like, oh my goodness, these kids are out of school. I don't know what to do with them. The easiest way, and I know this is going to sound crazy, the easiest way I have learned to keep my children under control or, to keep them entertained is education. They love all of the attention that I'm giving them, and they learn being able to apply it to things when they go outside. So this summer I've decided, let's dive into Spanish. I've got a 10-year-old, I've got an 8-year-old, and I have a 6-year-old little girl, okay, who is the subject of my 3rd book, okay? The 2nd book in the Brownie series, but my 3rd book published on Amazon. Leave links to all of this below. Okay, so let's get into it. How am I teaching my kids Spanish when I'm not a native Spanish speaker? Number one, I was born and raised in New York City. If you don't know Spanish, being born and raised in New York City, heaven help you. I actually have pretty good pronunciation. So, and this has been confirmed by other Spanish speakers. So it's not like I'm patting myself on the back. They have told me, yes, your pronunciation is good enough to be able to teach your children. I would go for it, okay? So what is my first lesson? We just had our first lesson. My husband actually sat in on it because he knows some Spanish from working in the restaurant industry, okay? And now as a new restaurant owner of his own, he may have to work with, once again, or employ people who are native Spanish speakers. And of course, that always helps, okay? So how did I decide, or what was my first lesson like today? The first thing I said was, let's break it down to the basics. And this is with anything that you decide you want to teach your kids, right? The history and origin of Spanish. So we watched a little video on YouTube. Again, I'm going to put the whole lesson plan below of the history of Spanish, how it came from Latin and how it branched into the Romance languages. We talked about Spain and all that. It's a really good, concise video, under 5 minutes. Highly suggested. It'll be in the links below. So once I showed them that, they said, oh, okay, this is interesting. So Spanish is not necessarily an original language, I guess we could say, but it's a branch of Latin, or, it's a Latin derivative. It's one of the Romance languages. So they took to that. We talked about it, and we talked about countries where Spanish is spoken. You can go deeper into that. You can draw out a map. You can get a map out. You can circle all of the Spanish-speaking countries. But the most interesting thing was in the video, they talked about how in America, it is going to be the most widely spoken second language, and also the most, or rather what I should say is the #1 Spanish-speaking country will soon be America. How crazy is that? Okay, so over 90,000 Spanish speakers by 2050, I believe the video said, but you're gonna go watch it later. Okay, so after that, we went into another basic, reciting the alphabet. Okay, I found these inserts, this printout on Teachers Pay Teachers. I like this because it has a really clean and clear and full color alphabet, and it also has the traditional alphabet, okay? If you grew up, if you're like in your 40s or your mid 30s, right? You grew up learning the full alphabet. So the L's, the Ñ's, the R's, you learned the double consonants. You learned, some of these have been taken out of basic Spanish learning. I have chosen to teach my children the way I learned. So this is on Teachers Pay Teachers. It's not my Teachers Pay Teachers account. I found it from another person, so I'll link that below. So we went over the alphabet. They watched a video. Okay, another thing I'll put in the links. They watched a video on it, the pronunciation. They went over it twice. Then I went over it with them and had them recite it. Okay, and so this went over well. Again, this lesson that I just mapped out for you is going to take probably 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes if you decide to go over more so the history and the countries and the places that Spanish is spoken, right? So we did the alphabet. Then I wanted them to walk away with something from the first lesson. So they're not going to use the alphabet every day. They're not going to have to spell out things to Spanish speakers just yet, right? So I decided to teach them the numbers 1 through 10. Most people do know the numbers 1 through 10, so it was easy for them to catch on and pick up. Again, diving into my own resources, I found this book on Amazon. I absolutely love this book. It's very, very basic, excellent. Remember, I have a 6-year-old. So if I was comfortable purchasing this book for my 6 through 10-year-old children, this is something that anybody is going to be able to grasp. So this was the first page that we used for our lesson today, okay? So they're able to see the numbers, all right? And then later on, probably in the next lesson or two, we'll go into spelling out the numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They were able to, repeat the letters. And then my thing with language is you have to stress the pronunciation right away, okay? I don't go, nueve. No, that ain't it, baby. Go into the pronunciation. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You pronounce it the way you know it's pronounced to the best of your capabilities if you're not a native speaker like me. Listen to the videos, you do the videos, you listen to the children do the videos, and get the pronunciation down right off the rip so that they are not cleaning up their Spanish later on, okay? So highly suggest this book. A lot of excellent things in here. They even have, some little crafty things that you can do here, at least, cutting out flashcards and things like that. They have songs and stuff in the back. Really good resource, okay? Especially ages 6 through 10. Every child in my home was able to pick up on this. So 6, 8, and 10 years old, all right? So we went through the numbers, and then I left them with a phrase that they can use today, okay? If they go outside and they meet another Spanish-speaking, they meet a Spanish-speaking child, they can say, yo tengo 10 años. Yo tengo 6 años. Yo tengo 8 años. Okay, so they can speak, they can use a phrase today. This is how I'm going to structure most of my lessons, okay? And then we'll get more heavy into grammar and things of that nature. But remember, for me right now, this is only my summer school lesson. So my goal is to finish this book with them, okay? I got one each. Also, excellent price point. I think this was $5, $5 or $6 on Amazon. Excellent price point. I got one for each, okay? And any other supplemental materials, I'll either make them or find them on places like Teachers Pay Teachers. Another thing I wanted to add before I close out this video is don't get wrapped up in having to have those pretty little schoolhouses that you see on Instagram, the flash, where you got 10 Razcogs full of materials. If you don't have the money for that, you don't have the money for that. If you don't have the space for that, you don't have the space for that. As you can see, I'm in a tiny little corner of my home. We have actually moved from Charlotte for business to another town in North Carolina. The space is limited here. It is what it is. Yes, it's a 3-bedroom apartment, but there's not a separate bedroom or a separate den. We're renting, right? You get it in where you fit it in, okay? Do not let anything stop you from educating your children and nurturing your family. This is a little corner of my home. I am legit right next to the refrigerator, y'all. Okay, I'm not going to front on my channel. I'm not going to pretend, because that is not helping anybody. Okay, don't worry about what people think of you. Don't even worry about sharing your journey with people if it doesn't look like everybody else's journey. You get you something to hold your supplies in. It could be cardboard boxes. Okay. Get something to hold your supplies in. Get your little whiteboard up. If you don't have a whiteboard, you get a thing of copy paper and you write out what you want to write and stick it on the wall so that you can mimic a classroom setting. Okay? I love you guys. I hope that you are starting off to an amazing summer. I'm going to come back and share a lot of what I'm doing with you guys. If you want to see all of my Spanish lessons for the summer, definitely leave a comment, leave a like below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.